So when I see Wiz today talk about Kush and OJ too, I have to ask why. I thought years ago we all came to the agreement that Taylor Allderdice was the unofficial sequel. You can't repeat that era. That era is more than just names of a mixtape for people like me. Top of the Top, episode 268, Stash House Podcast. Your boy Tyler checking in. First time listeners, thank y'all for tuning in. If you tune in weekly, salute. Or this just an episode, saw some topics you may want to hear about, thank you for tuning in as well. Podcast available on all streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Subscribe to your preferred audio platform. Subscribe to the YouTube page. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like button as well. Tell a friend to tell another friend. Check out this show. All love is greatly, greatly appreciated. Hope everyone had a safe week, safe weekend. Do the same this upcoming week. This week episode, I want to do another artist spotlight. I did this a while back with Gucci Mane. And really the sole purpose of episodes like this, for one, if it's a slow news week in terms of music and sports for me, nothing to really get in depth with. I like to do these type of episodes, but don't get it confused. The NBA season has tipped off. LA Dodgers won the World Series. Shout out to them. NFL season going crazy. College football is absolute chaos with the 12-team playoff format. Once again, I do want to apologize. I was totally wrong. I thought that 12-team format was going to make the competition a little bit less entertaining because I figured at least out of the 12 teams, maybe 8 would be a lock-in, but obviously I was wrong in that, so I would like to apologize for that bad, horrible take I had. College football season, one of the most entertaining college football seasons in a while, in my opinion. Shout out to them. Shout out to the Buckeyes doing their thing. Shout out to everybody in the SEC. I can only imagine what y'all going through right now. Different teams, different scenarios. All in all, there are things going on in sports. In music, we did have the Grammy nominations announced. All that good stuff. A few projects dropped over the weekend, but all in all, for me, just sitting back trying to figure out what to talk about this week, I said, you know what? After everything that happened last week in the political world and everybody just so stressed out and you got one side over here, you got the other side over there, I just want to come in and just bring positive energy, good vibes. So this week, Artist Spotlight, I chose to do Wiz Khalifa. Wiz Khalifa, the Wizard Man, straight out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, Wiz's career, different things I want to talk about first. I want to talk about my introduction to Wiz's career. Next, I want to get into the mixtapes and the albums. And lastly, I want to talk about what seems to be a disconnect with the fans in the past few years, and it all leads up to a possible Kush and OJ 2 release. Maybe this year, maybe next year. He's been teasing it for a minute. So I'm going to get into all of that. So sit back, relax, enjoy another episode, Stash House Podcast. Let's get to it. So like I said, Artist Spotlight, Wiz Khalifa. A lot of things I can talk about with Wiz Khalifa from my perspective, my point of view throughout the years. A lot of ups and downs, roller coaster ride, keeping hope that we can still get that vintage Wiz Khalifa sound even in our adulthood. So a lot of things I want to talk about, but like I said, I'm going to start with my introduction to Wiz Khalifa. My introduction, my real introduction was Kush and OJ. Before then, I remember seeing Burn After Rolling on live mixtapes because of the cover art. I think I probably heard one, maybe 2 songs of Burn After Rolling at the time. And, of course, later on, the Say Yeah, well, Say Yeah came out before Burn After Rolling, but hearing Say Yeah again, I remember, this is the song that used to come on before I go to school in the morning. But I never correlated Say Yeah with Burn After Rolling or Kush and OJ. I never knew that was the same guy until, you know what I'm saying, later on. But Burn After Rolling, I remember seeing the mixtape, but Kush and OJ was my real introduction. And how I got put on to Kush and OJ, 2010, graduation weekend of 2010, I was entering my senior year at the time. So class of 2010 was graduating, and I was entering the summer before my senior year of high school. And that weekend of the graduations, because we got Alabama, Georgia, we right next to each other, so my high school had their graduation, I think 1 week. And then in Georgia, my cousins had their graduation the next week, if I'm not mistaken. So, of course, you got, your family graduating, my cousins. So we had the family cookout, all that good stuff. Soon as I pull up, I saw my cousin Zach, who actually does the production on this podcast at the beginning. Shout out to Zach if he listening. Soon as I saw him dapping him up, he asked me, he said, "Hey, bro, you heard the new Wiz Khalifa mixtape, Kush and OJ?" And I was like, "Wiz Khalifa?" I said, "That's the guy from Burn After Rolling." He was like, "Yeah, he got a new mixtape. It's on fire, man. You got to check it out." So I made a mental note of it. I was like, okay, when I get home, I'll check it out, because it wasn't back then where we got streaming sites or mixtape apps on our phone where I could just listen to it then. I had to wait till I get back home. So I made a mental note of it. Cool. So he graduated, and my other cousin Marcus, shout out to him, it was their graduation weekend. So I think it was at Marcus' graduation party, if I'm not mistaken. So, the function going on with the whoop, and Marcus ended up having to make some runs. He like, "Cuz, you want to ride with me?" I bet. He like, "Hey, man, Zach told you about Wiz Khalifa, Kush and OJ?" I like, "Yeah, he just told me I'm going to listen to it." He like, "Man, I've been listening to it all morning, whoop de whoop." So as we riding around the city, you know what I'm saying, he doing his graduation runs, we listening to Kush and OJ. And the 3 songs that stuck out to me, Mesmerize, Never Been, and In the Cut. Definitely In the Cut. In the Cut was the one I was like, okay, when I get home, I definitely got to check out this mixtape. In the Cut was the one that stood out the most. And In the Cut, like right in the middle of the mixtape. It's not like it's the first 5 songs or nothing like that. So I made a mental note of it. Got back home. I played Kush and OJ out that Saturday night all the way to that Sunday. And I was on Facebook. Do it back when Facebook was Facebook. You could just get on and just, say whatever. People still do that, but it was a more social way of, saying what you want. Whole time I'm just posting about Wiz Khalifa, Kush and OJ, Wiz Khalifa Mesmerize, Wiz Khalifa Never Been. I'm just going crazy with the Wiz Khalifa posts on Facebook. And what it was that stood out to me with Kush and OJ, one, it was the production. It was very chill. This was back when, chill vibes, all that. It was very soulful, chill, smoking music. And I wasn't even smoking like that, but it made you want to smoke. You know what I'm saying? It was different for me at the time, because this 2010 now, and y'all know I always say, Wayne and Gucci were my go-to. And of course, Tip, Jeezy, Luda, 3 6 to a certain extent. But for the most part, it was just Wayne and Gucci for me. And what Kush and OJ did, not to fast forward, but, just keep on listening to Kush and OJ, keep on listening to Kush and OJ. For one, it made me go back and check out Wiz's old music. The Burn After Rollins, the Flight School, Star Power, Deal or No Deal album, How Fly mixtape with Currency. And I knew of Currency through Wayne with Young Money, because I think it was Dedication 3, if I'm not mistaken, the one that had How She On, But She Expecting Me to Eat Her. That whole crazy, man. I think it was that mixtape, Dedication 3, when Wayne had the skit. He was like, "Don't leave Young Money, then go off and start your own record label." And I always figured he was talking about Currency, so I was like, oh, good to see Currency rocking with Wiz, because Wayne dissed him on Dedication 3. That's what I was thinking at the time. So I went back, listened to old Wiz music, and then that led me to YouTube, watching Wiz Khalifa Day-to-Days. And that was really what got me on Wiz. And it's funny now, fast forward 14, 15 years later, seeing people on stream and podcasts and all that. But YouTube for me, my high school years, YouTube for me was Wiz Khalifa Day-to-Day. That's really, outside of just listening to music or whatever, shows I was watching on YouTube was the Wiz Khalifa Day-to-Days. Season 3, when he went on tour for Kush and OJ with the Wake and Bacon tour. And I was like, damn, that would really have me like, when I get old enough and when I get the money, when I get older, concerts are going to be my thing. Because I'm seeing what artists are doing while they're on the road. I'm seeing Wiz go to the jewelry store. I'm seeing Wiz and his friends doing photo shoots. They backstage at the concerts, checking in the hotel rooms. I just got engulfed in the music culture of going to concerts. So now, as an adult, being blessed enough to operate, have a job, have some steady income, concerts are my thing now, and it's kind of started with the Wiz Khalifa day-to-days. So I got to shout that out. The fashion he was wearing, part of the reason why I love to wear the crew neck sweaters was because of Wiz, the camo shorts, Chuck Taylors. My feet are probably still suffering from buying Chuck Taylors back in the day. Snapback hats. That whole 2010, 2011 era Wiz is probably one of my favorite eras of an artist. You know, you got Wayne mixtape, you got Gucci mixtape. Wiz Khalifa 2010 to 2011, that's like a 99 overall artist for me personally. You know what I'm saying? And it was a calling card. Because like I said, I was posting on Facebook about Wiz Khalifa music. You'll have girls hit you up, be like, hey, I see you like Wiz Khalifa. I like his music too. I think we can be friends. I got friendships that started off of Wiz Khalifa music. I don't know what they at now. I hope, you know what I'm saying, everybody good on the up and up. But at the time, I met friends from other schools in the area through posting Wiz Khalifa music. So it was just dope all around. And at the time, man, it just felt like I said, I was going to my senior year in high school. It really set the tone for my senior year. You know what I'm saying? That's an era I'll never get back. You feel me? That's just based off Wiz Khalifa, Kush and OJ. So like I said, I'm just posting about Wiz, watching day-to-days. And the day-to-days led me to really a very important part of my life when it comes to music. Watching his day-to-days made me go and just check out a lot of music I never checked out before. The Biggies, the Snoop Dogg's outside of the popular music, oldies, you know what I'm saying, funk, soul music, 90s R&B. That's what started. Really, without that, I probably wouldn't be here talking on a podcast about music on a week-to-week basis like I do. Because that just opened my mind. That's the blog era. So while I'm going back, checking out older artists I never listened to, I'm also checking out the current artists during the blog era. I knew of Drake before with the So Far Gone, because that came out 2009. I knew of that, but I didn't know it was a whole bunch of other artists coming up at the time. The white kid from Pittsburgh, Mac Miller. That's how I got on Mac Miller with Wiz Khalifa. And at the time, if you know, you know, Mac Miller was labeled as the white Wiz Khalifa. They dress the same, they from the same area, they go to the same studio, they got the same producers, they featured on each other projects. Mac Miller was the white Wiz Khalifa, and they just were all around each other. You had Currency in the mix. Big Sean, that's when he was going on his feature run crazy. Big Crit doing his thing. Wale was popping. J. Cole, Kendrick, TDE, they going crazy. And later on, Joey Badass, A$AP Rocky. That blog era, 2009 to I'll say about 2013, because I remember I definitely was still going on blogs my first semester when I got to Troy in 2013. That era for a high schooler or a college kid, that's probably our golden era. You know what I'm saying? Like how they say the 90s, the golden era, that blog era is definitely up in rank. 'Cause look at the artists I just named that came from that era. You know what I'm saying? That's just me being on Twitter, being on Facebook, and it wasn't he said this, so it got to be fire. It just artists posting stuff, and it wasn't like you could go on the timeline and press play. You got to go click that link, wherever link they take you to, you listening to the music. You're going to the Dat Pills, you're going to the live mixtapes, you're going on YouTube. That was some real deal. You had to search, and you had to hear from word of mouth, hey, check this out, check that out. It ain't like it is nowadays where any given week, anybody could just pop up on the scene on Instagram and whoop-de-whoop. It was more word of mouth or you just on the internet searching. And those artists we got from that era, that's really my golden era. Because I wasn't in the 90s. I was born in 93. I didn't get to live Wu-Tang, Nas, and all that. But I lived through that blog era. And keep in mind, you got these guys who was in the mainstream. You still got Wayne going crazy. Still got Gucci. You got Travis Porter down south. Like down south, we had our own party mode. We had the Young LAs, the J Futuristic, J Monies. You had Stewie Rock. That whole Atlanta scene was building up a lot too. Future coming on the scene. 2 Chainz, changing from Teddy Boy to 2 Chainz. Meek Mill. So we had our own culture down south, because Meek Mill used to come down to the A lot. Rose. So while all that going on, you had the South popping crazy. Man, it was a time. It was a time. I wouldn't trade that era for nothing. That blog era is very, very special for me. So like I said, Wiz Khalifa, Kush and OJ, going crazy, going crazy. Then I got a real taste of artists being in the industry outside. I don't want to say changing, but being in the industry because after Kush and OJ, I want to say before Rolling Papers came out, we got Cabin Fever. And Cabin Fever was more of a trapped out. He had the Lex Luger beats, but it was still hard. That Gang Bang with Big Sean, Every Day with Juicy J, the Taylor Gang song, the Hustling, the Homicide with Chevy Woods at the end. Shout out to Chevy Woods, too. He was always Wiz right-hand man, still Wiz right-hand man. And after all these years, I don't think Chevy get enough credit for that. He could have easily been his own mind, have his ego like, man, I never got to where Wiz at. I'm his hype man, woot-de-woot. He just played his role all these years, and you still see him with Wiz to this day. So I do want to shout out Chevy Woods. But that Cabin Fever mixtape, I was like, okay, it ain't the chill, sledgering, Cardo, Jern production. It's Lex Luger, but it's still hard. And that's when Juicy J got in the mix. Then we got Rolling Papers. Rolling Papers, even at the time, I don't think Rolling Papers was as bad as people claim it was. Even at the time. Because you had the commercial records. The I roll up, whenever you call, baby, I roll up. I liked that song when it came out. I thought, and then just me being, like I said, I was in high school. I'm a senior in high school by the time Rolling Papers come out. I'm hearing Roll Up, and I was like, okay. Coming off of Kush and OJ, the women love them. You know what I'm saying? Of course, like I said, the cannabis culture, Roll Up. I thought it was a good single. Me personally. Then you got the Black and Yellow. He caught a mean lick with that one. He from Pittsburgh. He just made the song. I think the Steelers were doing okay during the season. So, of course, you're going to make a song, you know, representing your state, representing the football team. Rolling Papers, I don't think was bad. You had the commercial record, but you still had the On My Level. You had The Race. You had Hopes and Dreams. You had Rooftops with Currency. It's still some records on Rolling Papers. I was like, okay, it's not Kush and OJ, obviously, but it did what it's supposed to do. But obviously, I was in the minority with that because fans did not care for Rolling Papers like that. And I was like, damn, like, yeah, he had some songs I was like, Wiz, what you doing? But overall, I wasn't that upset with it when it came out. But obviously, a lot of fans were, which bring us to Taylor Allderdice. Taylor Allderdice is when I think Wiz just got in a groove. The Juicy J was fully on board with Taylor Gang, and they just was ratchet. And what Juicy J say, trippy, they were just lit. The YouTube vlogs from that Taylor Allderdice era, like, oh, D-boy smoking crazy, D-boy drinking that Bombay gin, and that was our era. When I got to Troy in 2013, me, Coop, AJ, Jake, George, Russell County folks, we went to Troy and we got ratchet off of that Wiz Khalifa, Taylor Allderdice mixtape. So when I see Wiz today talk about Kush and OJ too, I have to ask why. I thought years ago we all came to the agreement that Taylor Allderdice was the unofficial sequel. You can't repeat that era. That era is more than just names of a mixtape for people like me. That was just the peak time of where everything was right in the world. Social media didn't give people so much anxiety and depression. It was just a fun era to be in, and it was a fun era to live through. Those are my college years, from senior year of high school to maybe 2014. So that's what, 2010 to 2014. Man, that was an era. And I hate to be the guy to be like, oh, my high school, early college years were the prime years of my life. I've had great times as a kid before high school. I had great times in high school, great times in college, and I damn sure had great times in my adulthood. But I would be a fool not to include that era of my life as one of the greatest. Like, it was just amazing. Wasn't no BBLs around. Like, if you were beautiful, you were beautiful. You know how to put clothes on. You know how to put clothes on. It wasn't no admiration for other individuals based on how many followers they got. It wasn't no designer. I think the most designer you would probably see at the time was Polo. And everybody had one, maybe two of those in the closet. And you knew when to pull those out. But back then, man, it was just a very, very more simpler time. And that was still before the social media boom. Like, if you was on social media, you was on. If you wasn't, you wasn't. But back then, man, times were so much simpler. But going back, Taylor Allderdice, any doubt you had or any frustration you had with Rolling Papers, it was gone after that mixtape. He even spoke about it during the skits on that mixtape. He was like, fans, I had to make it up to my fans. I know they ain't like Rolling Papers. He wrote a letter to the fans to apologize. And I was like, I don't remember Rolling Papers being that bad where you got to write a letter to your fans apologizing for it. Because I named about 7, 8 songs I like personally. And that just off the top of the head. But Taylor Allderdice, you had the My Favorite Song. You got the TAP with Juicy J. You had the Kelly Rowland. You had the Never Been Part 2, which is why a lot of people say Taylor Allderdice is the unofficial sequel to Kush and OJ 2, because you got Never Been Part 2 with Amber Rose and Rick Ross. And at this time, he is dating Amber Rose, too, by the way. And I didn't know who Amber Rose was until I went back and like, oh, this the one Kanye was with when he did the Taylor Swift shit with the Hennessy bottle. Oh, this the chick from My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy era. Oh, okay, cool. So Wiz was just rolling and rolling. And then after Taylor Allderdice, you come back with ONILC, which I think is his best album. ONILC, his best album, not project, mixtape, album. I want to be sure I say that. His best album, in my opinion. It just engulfed everything Wiz was doing at the time, and you still got the day-to-days where he keeping up with everything going on. So from really before Kush and OJ era, but when I got on was Kush and OJ era to the 2050 tour. It's all documented on YouTube. That's what I was watching my high school years and my college years. Just keeping up with Wiz music, keeping up with what he doing in life. And as he going, his fashion is changing as well. So he was one of the few artists I remember at the time, like, okay, Wiz, he's switching up his clothes. Even though I love the snapback sweaters, camo shorts era, it's like, okay, as he progressing throughout his career, his clothes changing, he dibbling, dabbling more with this and this, but the music's still hitting. But after ONILC, that is when I started seeing some changes, because you got to think, ONILC was 2012, if I'm not mistaken. We riding that high for about 2 years. I can't remember what he dropped after ONILC. It couldn't have been 28 grams. He dropped something before 28 grams, if I'm not mistaken. Cabin Fever 2. He dropped Cabin Fever 2, which was some songs on there I like, and I still go back and listen to it, but I know it didn't get the reception that I thought it should have got. I like Cabin Fever 2, personally. There's some songs on there I love, but it didn't go crazy like the first one did. But he did drop Cabin Fever 2. He dropped ONILC. I thought he dropped something before 28 grams. I can't remember. I should have did more research on that, but I thought he dropped something before. But as all this going, the music is changing. I remember definitely Trinidad James, All Gold, everything. Future started popping. 2 Chainz was popping. This when Drake, Kendrick, Cole, they all going crazy. So he's still in the mix. Wiz's name is still in the mix, but keep in mind, a lot of people are elevating throughout this period as well. And then 2014, Young Thug, Rich Homie Quan, Rich Gang, Future, Monster. And then you look at Wiz and he changing his whole thing. Like you hearing the music and you like, some hits, some misses. It's more hit and miss now in this time period, I feel like. Because you got Juicy J with his Stay Trippin' album. That's what leading the charge for Taylor Gang at this time. So Wiz still in the mix, but it's some other guys up here who like, I'm like, all right, Wiz, you got it. And Currency and Mac Miller going crazy as well. That was the real thing for me at the time. I'm like, damn, Wiz switching it up, but shit, Currency staying true to self, and he doing his thing. Mac Miller changing it up as well. He getting more of his musician bag, and Wiz just trying to figure out where to go, it felt like. Like, he doing tours. He doing what he's supposed to do, but it still didn't feel like he was keeping up with the crowd at the time. And then we got Black Hollywood and all that. He changed his hair purple, and this is when early on, I started to get worried because Wiz had the music where it's like, okay, you had a long day of school, long day of work. You know you got somebody you can put on some smooth, chill music. But now it's just getting a little bit too Hollywood. Like he went to L.A., moved to L.A. I understand artists growing, and he was the first artist who I really examined and be like, okay, as artists grow, their music change. As they get these contracts, their music change. And he was doing interviews saying, when I made Kush and OJ, y'all, I was 21, 22. I'm 28 going on 30 now, which I understood at the time. I was like, okay, I get it. If you telling me you was 21 when you made this, now you about to be 30, I would think the music would change, but you got the music that can live a lifetime. Like, you don't got to do all this. And I thought about it as I got older because Wiz is the one artist who I always just be like, why you can't just give us the old Wiz? Why can't you just go back to the producers we prefer to hear you with? I go back to a Drink Champs interview. It was Irv Gotti, 2017. Back when podcasts were podcasts, people just didn't get on mics and say something dramatified or say something to get the headlines. The people who were giving game were supposed to give game on podcasts back then. And it was Irv Gotti on Drink Champs. And he brought up a situation where he brought DMX to Def Jam. He played, I think it was Get At Me Dog, DMX. And he was like, everybody from the label was in the room, and Dame Dash from Rockefeller was in the room because they all was under Def Jam. Great times back then. So he said he played DMX, and people in the office were like, okay, it's different, it's more rough, but we can do something with it. And Dame Dash was like, y'all like that? Y'all like that? People don't want to hear that. People want to be like Jay-Z. They want to listen to Jay-Z. And Irv Gotti was like, well, for one, you didn't have to come to the damn meeting. You're not a label head. You own a label under this label. I'm not here to play you my music. I'm here to play them my music. That's number one. And he was like, number two, yes, people like to listen to Jay-Z. People admire the money, the cars, the clothes, the women, whoop-de-whoop. But he was like, it's only a small percentage of men who can relate to Jay-Z on that level. Small. He like, it's a lot more people who can relate to DMX who want to rob the people like the Jay-Z. It's only a few people in the world who can relate to a Jay-Z. Be on top of the game, got all the money, the cars. Only a few people can relate to that. It's a lot more people in the world who down bad, who just looking to hit a lick on one of them people who are like Jay-Z. And that's why I brought the Wiz, because I was like, okay, Wiz, you moved to Cali, you in Hollywood, you're going to the clubs in L.A., you're going to the clubs in Vegas, you're going to the clubs in Dubai, all that good stuff. And yeah, some people do live that life. Some people do. Shit, we went to Vegas a couple years ago and partied our ass off for the whole weekend. Some people have done that. But is that our life? Hell no. That's a once-a-year thing for some people, most people. People can't do that every week. But you got some people who can definitely relate to going to work day to day, every week, and they just want to get home, put on some chill music, vibe out, and they want to pour up some, they pour up some, and they want to roll up some, they roll up some. It's a lot more people in the world that do that than the people who be out in Hollywood, Vegas, and all this good stuff every single day, every single weekend. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. And it's a guarantee the folks that's out at them parties and them clubs, they can't afford it. So I'm like, you can do that, but show some love to the people who just want to relive those memories of Kush and OJ, Taylor Allderdice. Go back with Big Germ. Tell Sledger to make some more calm beats. Go to Cardo. Wiz just got to then he got to the Trap Wiz with 28 grams, which was good. He had some records, but I remember first hearing it, I'm like, bro, for one, it's too many songs, and I ain't really trying to hear Wiz on these trap beats like that. It ain't like Cabin Fever. You know what I'm saying? But it is some songs on 28 grams that's cool. And that's when Wiz really got in the mode of, okay, you listen to a Wiz project, you're going to hear some songs that you like, but overall, it just, nah, man, this ain't really what we want. His tours, he performing the songs, it be like, bro, just give us that. Give us the golden age Wiz, man. That's what I always say. Wiz got to present a tour to where it be like, I'm about to show love to the fans from Kush and OJ, Burn After Rolling and all that, for me to be like, I bet I'm going to go. Because he going to perform songs I really don't want to hear. Now, he did hit the lick with See You Again from the Fast and Furious soundtrack. after Paul Walker passed away. After that, I was like, I don't think we'll ever get that Wiz ever again. That was like the first song I heard on the timeline to be like, this song got over 1 billion views on YouTube. That was like the first song I remember seeing. It got over 1 billion views on YouTube. And I was like, yeah, man, bro, he a dad now. He got married to Amber Rose. He got a 1 billion view song from Fast and Furious. I don't think we're going to ever get that. I don't think we're going to get that snapback camo shorts Wiz ever again. And it came to fruition. I've heard projects where I'm like, okay, cool. My boy AJ said it best. Out of Wiz's last 5-6 projects, he could have just took a couple from this album, a couple from that album, and then put the good songs together and be like, okay, cool. But it's just an overflow of so much skip. And it's just like, damn, man. Like, I ain't going to say a fall from grace because he doing what he's supposed to do. He getting the bag. But in terms of music, if Wiz say I got a project dropping this Friday, compared to back then, I'm not running to it. You know what I'm saying? Primo Rice put out a project this past weekend. P got game with Harry Fraud. He got a song with Wiz and Currency on it. And you just hear the difference. You hear how Currency staying in shape, especially on the Harry Fraud production. And you hear Wiz like, all right, Wiz need to get, you know how they say stay in the gym? Wiz need to stay in the gym because when you get beside Currency, who, like I said, never switched it up. He probably switched it up one time with that song with August Alsina and Lil Wayne. That whole album, Canal Street Confidential, that's probably the only time I think Currency kind of went the opposite direction. But for the most part, he's still with the Alchemist. He's still with Harry Fraud. He's still rapping about what he want to rap about, and he making a good living off of it. But Wiz, he always said, though, Currency and Wiz always said the plan was Currency be the underground king and Wiz to go to the mainstream. That always was the plan, but I think if you was on Wiz early or Kush and OJ and did your research on Wiz and then saw where he went as the years progressed, you like, dang, Wiz, I'd rather you stayed in that pocket rather than do the Hollywood shit. But, you know, when you under these contracts and you get that big hit, sometimes you just got to go with the flow, and that's exactly what Wiz did. So, really can't be upset at that. It just, that's how the game go. You know what I'm saying? Like, after, I want to say after ONIFC, project-wise, is when I stopped. I think Black Hollywood, I was anticipating Black Hollywood. I had a feeling Black Hollywood was going to be a comeback story or some type. Like I said, though, he has some songs on there that's cool, but overall, it's like, nah. So I think ONILC was the last solid project I think I got from Wiz, if I'm not mistaken. I got to go back and listen. But I think ONILC is the last solid one, like from start to finish. He had the one, they were called High Times Volume 1, that had the Taylor song, the What You Deserve song. That was pretty cool too, but ONILC was the last of the I'm on Wiz heavy type of vibe. Now, any given day I wake up, I could put on Flight School, Star Power, Burn After Rolling, Kush and OJ, Taylor Allderdice. That era, that's still my go-to on some mornings, some days. Don't get it twisted, but as the years progressed, I definitely fell out with the Wiz movement, all in all. Still watch the day-to-days here and there. Like, the day-to-days still were pretty cool, and that's when you really, as the years, like I said before, as the years go, Wiz still doing day-to-days, and you can just see from the day-to-days, like, okay, you still vibing, but I don't see the same people from the early years around you, or I'm seeing how the VIP looking in terms of the women that's in the room. You know what I'm saying? Just certain things you see on the YouTube vlogs, you be like, okay, I totally understand now why it's not sounding how it's supposed to sound. But it is what it is, man. I understand it. Now, going to this Kush and OJ 2, that's rumored for a while. I've been seeing more and more posts about it. Smoke Dizzle been posting about it. Fans seem to be excited. I'm seeing possible producers, Cardo, Sledgerin. Like I said before, though, I need Germ on the boards. I need Big Germ in the middle. It ain't Kush and OJ 2. I don't care about the features or nothing. If Big Germ ain't producing on this, it ain't Kush and OJ 2. For one, I don't know why he's calling it Kush and OJ 2. Like I said before, I thought we all agreed years ago that Taylor Allderdice was the unofficial sequel. So I feel like this could have been named something else. And when we listen to it, we be like, it ain't Kush and OJ, it ain't Taylor Allderdice, but it got Never Been Part 3 on it. And it sounded pretty smooth. I've been seeing different things. Problem from the West Coast, Jason Martin. He's supposed to be A&R in it, executive producing. I saw a clip over the weekend. He was listening to a song with Wiz and Larry June. Nothing that I heard that I was like, ooh, I can't wait till this come out. I got to wait till it come out to see. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to just run to it just because it's Kush and OJ too. I'm going to listen to it because I'm like, all right, if you brave enough, because you've been saying for years now, you'll never do a Kush and OJ too. And now all of a sudden you're saying you're doing Kush and OJ too. It's a cause for concern for me, being a fan of Wiz. Still a fan, no matter how the music sound. He brought that, like I said, that summer before my senior year of high school, all the way to my college years, he held me down, along with others. So I can't just be like, oh, I ain't a fan no more. Nah, I'm going to go back to your old shit any given day. But you brave enough to say Kush and OJ too, you got to be confident as hell in that. Being that we already got our part 2, obviously, with Taylor Allderdice. I mean, I'm holding my breath. I'm holding my breath, man. So Wiz, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this week, like I said, it's like a filler episode. You know what I'm saying? I just want to come in and give good vibes, good energy, man. So much tension going on in the world these days. I ain't want to get into all that tough talk and nothing like that. So I just want to come in and talk about Wiz. Cause I've been seeing more and more about this Kush and OJ too on my timeline. So why not? You know what I'm saying? So appreciate y'all for tuning in. This has been episode 268, Stash House Podcast. Make sure you guys go out. Have a great work week, great school week. Stay safe. Be mindful of your surroundings. Drink plenty of water. Keep your body in shape, man. Make sure you're getting your fitness in. Don't just be slouching around. Do your job, do your work, mind your own business, get your paper. All that, man. Stay prayed up. Keep me in your prayers. I'll do the same for y'all. Salute.